Recording the meeting. Okay, welcome to the meeting. Today is May 7th, 2020, and I hope we can be very efficient after this little bump in the road. And so I'm Laura Myers. I am the president of UNNC, and who knew when that happened that we would end up in a pandemic? Didn't know that. And today, Jeff Camp is acting as our moderator. So basically, what does that mean? It means that he's watching the hands raising because I would like to pay attention both to the agenda and to the speakers. So I don't want to miss hands. So Jeff is going to be paying attention to the order in which hands are raised, who may have already talked once, call on people, and kind of keep that going. And he's also going to try and keep time. It would be great if somebody would volunteer if they've got the ability to watch the clock, because I've been attending a whole bunch of city Zoom meetings, Planning Commission, Cultural Heritage Commission, and it feels like one of the most annoying things about that is the moderator for the city, different ones, just say your time's up and they don't give a 30-second warning. So Jeff's job is to say your time's up, but if anyone, think about it for while I go through this speech, if anyone wants to consider being the person who kind of says 30-second warning so whoever's talking has a choice. So anyway, so he's going to be the moderator. We're trying to watch the waiting room and let people in as well to the meeting. And we also have a representative from Dunn participating in the meeting. So during the meeting tonight, we will discuss, as always, the items listed on the meeting agenda in numerical order, unless, well, if somebody really wants us to take something out of order, we'll talk about that when we approve the agenda. I want to remind board members, if any of you have consulted with a city attorney and received advice regarding any sort of conflict of interest on this agenda, the board member needs to, at the time the agenda items announced, the board member needs to identify the general nature of the conflict, indicate that he or she is recusing him or herself from participating in the matter, and then essentially you're going to be leaving the meeting. So what does that mean? What it means is Jeff or I will put you in the waiting room because it doesn't feel good enough for you just to walk off the screen, because you could be just a foot away and still be in the meeting. So we're going to put you in the waiting room. And Paula, are you able, this is a test, are you able on the phone to see the raise hand function? Because if not, you need to press *9 in order to raise your hand. So can you test that for us?
That's what we did last time, yes.
Okay, so you'll do can you do a test, the *9?
Yes, and as I recall, though, I didn't know how to take it down, but here's my test.
Oh, whoop. Well, I lost Paula. So, Jeff, do you see a raised hand from Paula?
Yep, and I just lowered it.
Okay, cool. So, when you wish to speak, raise your hand. If you're on the phone, press *9 on your dial pad. And if you're having trouble doing that, we've somewhat enabled and somewhat disabled the chat, Zoom group chat. Essentially, you can chat with the host, but you can't chat with the whole room. So, but if you're having trouble and you want to, your hand's not raising for whatever reason, and you really want to make a comment, write a note in the chat. And Jeff thinks that you can either chat to him or chat to me. I have no way of verifying that, but either way is fine. And then I do want to remind everybody that our normal rules for code of conduct do apply. One of the reasons why I didn't enable chat to everyone is because some of the meetings I've been to that have chat to everyone, people make side comments that I wouldn't want everyone to see. So for the moment, it's disabled. But in terms of the chat, one of the good reasons to use it is if you're making a motion, you can type it into the private chat, and then I can copy and paste it into the public chat so everyone, I can post to everyone. You can see the motion. So we won't have to go through tonight all the, what was the motion? Should we say this? Should we say that? General comment, any general comment, public comment on an agenda item, or just general public comment should be directed to the board rather than to individuals. So if you're talking in public comment, we cannot do anything but listen. We cannot take any action. The same rules apply as always. And our general public comment occurs near the top of the agenda, as you know. Okay, so now I'm going to officially, again, attempt to call our meeting to order by sharing our agenda and asking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented, or if that's not the motion you want to make a different motion. And Jeff, has anybody got their hand raised?
Yes, Laura, Greg has his hand raised.
Great, because now I can't see anything because I'm looking at the agenda. Greg?
Greg, please go
Okay.
ahead.
So how much time are we allowing for each item and for each speaker? If she says
We have our normal standing rules in place. So maximum for each speaker is usually 2 minutes. And I'm trying to watch the agenda, but you can see on the agenda how much time we have for the categories of items.
Laura, we also have Dorit.
I'll second I thought I was gonna approve it and I was gonna second it.
Did I have a motion to approve?
no.
I thought Greg was gonna do it, but
Greg asked a question.
I know. I raised my hand before I knew that. So I'll approve the motion.
Yeah, but Greg didn't make a motion. Are you making the motion?
Yes, yes,
I
I am,
second.
sorry.
Oh, darn it,
Is
Greg
there
got
a
it.
second?
That's fine. That's fine.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second the motion.
Thank you. Oi. Okay, here we go. Are we gonna have to do a roll call? We are. Dorit, do you want,
Fine.
because we can't see raised hands. So I'll just do it quickly. Asai? Yes?
Yes.
Dorit?
Here,
John?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Okay. Actually, this is, you know what?
I'll happily do it. I just didn't know why we're doing it so shortly after we did it the first time, but I'll do it.
The reason we're doing it is because we can't take a vote to approve without knowing.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay, so I've eliminated the screen share, sorry, because I realize I can't do both at the same time. Lizzie?
Here.
No,
Yes.
not roll call, just yes or no on the motion.
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Laura? Yes. Hugo?
Yes.
No? Paula?
Yes.
You go.
Raheem? Raheem? Marielle?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Jeannie?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that, you guys. It's, this is complicated. All right, so first item on the agenda.
Wait a minute.
No,
Laura, give the total yeses and the total no.
I'm sorry, Tori, this is not a BAC. I understand you're asking a question without raising your hand, but the motion passed because we had 2 abstentions and 1 no. Or Hugo says he said yes, so no nos. But I cannot have you unmute yourself and simply ask a question like that. Thank you, because this is a virtual meeting. We can't do that. So I've just
Laura.
muted everybody again. And
Just FYI, Raheem is putting the kids down to bed and we'll be back momentarily. We cannot lose another board member.
okay, so everyone needs to stay for now. Thank you. I'm trying to be really nice and collaborative, but this whole meeting is going to involve a lot of cooperation. Okay, public comments, 1 minute per person. Please raise your hand and Jeff will call on you, if anyone. Are there any public comments?
Dorit, please go ahead.
All right, I'd like to take this time to thank Laura for keeping all of this happening and doing all those weekly updates and doing all of the behind the scenes crap that she had, excuse my language, that she had to do to make it so we could come back and have a virtual meeting and are fighting with the city. Honestly, she deserves a round of applause. So thank you, Laura, for doing that.
A round of muted applause.
Round of muted applause, but what, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, are you calling on people?
Asai, please go now.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Asai. I just wanted to first thank all the first responders, especially right now during May Day. A lot of them have been working day in and day out, trying to make sure that we're safe. Obviously, you've probably seen on the news that there are people who are protesting the governor and because they can't go to the beach or their hair salons and whatnot. But we still have people in hospitals working excessively hard. Please, if you know anyone who is a healthcare worker, like, thank them so much for the work that they're doing, because I'm pretty sure physically and mentally and emotionally they're exhausted. Just whenever you guys can, just thank them. They're great people for what they do. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is thank you, Laura, for being able to bring so many people into the Zoom meeting, especially how hard it is. So great job.
Thank you. Jeff, would anybody else have their hands up?
There are no further hand raised at this point in time.
Okay. I see a new participant caller at 323-395-37631. And you can answer this. Did you want us to change your phone number to a name? Did you want?
Hello there. No, my name is Jeffrey. Yeah, please use my name, Jeffrey.
Thank you. We'll just do that.
Okay, perfect.
Although I've lost you in the queue, but I'll get you. Oh, there, Jeff. Our other Jeff did that. Okay. Council District 10 report, and that would be Jeff Camp. So Jeff, you can unmute yourself. And
hello, everyone.
Okay.
Wait a minute, Jeff, hang on a second. I'm muting all, and then you can unmute yourself again.
Got it. Good evening, everybody. I hope that you're having as much fun during this time as I am. Our council office has been very busy. We have been out in the field controlling lots of different situations, including food drives, diaper drives. We're doing a Mother Days drive tomorrow. We have delivered, I want to say, 42 tons of food, of which Laura can expand on later. But I would like to remind everybody else, I've tried to be in touch with everyone in my grid, which is UNNC. So please reach out to us, because we are still correcting issues that people are dealing with, whether they're parking, whether it's street cleaning, whether it's homeless, as an example over on Adams and Bronson. We had what was deemed as a homeless encampment, and the city right now just isn't moving those things. But when we had several constituents call in and say that they have witnessed drug dealing and prostitution, they got closed down. I can report today that at the Bronson and Adams site that Vice actually went out, served search warrants, and arrested several people. So there are still things that we have to do behind the scenes other than food drives and all that stuff so that we can keep our communities together. Please feel free to reach out to me. Many of you have my private cell phone number, and others may have my email, but I will put in the chat thread my email address. And if I'm in the portion of UNNC, which is unlikely, that is covered by another deputy, I'll make sure they get that email or their issues as well. So at that, I'll leave it up to any questions anybody might have. And
Okay, there's a bunch of raised hands, Jeff. So are we switching now and me calling and you answering? Jeff?
I'm unmuting Marielle, and I'll then go to.
I recognize that the council office, obviously there's lots of priorities happening right now. Can you talk for just a couple seconds about the approach to trash? I feel like there's a lot of trash buildup around the garbage cans and on the corners. It just feels like there's a lot driving through the city or in our neighborhoods. There's just a lot of just trash, like piles of trash. Is sanitation focusing on other areas, or is there less staffing? Is there something, or is it just me and without a lot of people and cars around, I just see all the trash? That's my question.
I can tell you that if we're talking specifically along Washington Boulevard, we use a separate party, KYCC and LACC, to service those trash bins. Council President, well, not Council President, Council Member Herb Wesson's priority right now is getting priority services to people right now, and that happens to be food. So when we are...
Oh, Jeff, you just went silent.
What's happening is we are utilizing those resources to help us deliver food to those in need. On the days when we're not utilizing them, we are contracting with them to come back and do the trash pile and pickups. Sanitation is still in the business of picking up items. So I ask each and every one of you that if you're out and about in the neighborhood while you're walking your dog or getting some fresh air or some sun, some vitamin D, to use your phone and report items or situations to 311 through the 311 app. As we start moving through this transition, hopefully we won't have to be doing as many food deliveries, but our office, this office, is weighing the options. Are we going to deal with getting the trash cans, or are we going to deal with getting food to people who haven't been able to go to grocery stores or are locked in their homes?
Okay, so I see Paula's hand up. Paula?
Yes, my question, Jeff, you said something about preparing for Mother's Day. What is it that is being done for Mother's Day? And are you looking for volunteers?
For Mother's Day, we're doing a food drive-through with care packages for the mothers. At this point in time, because it was short notice and distribution lines, we're getting stuff as we get them and trying to figure out how to do it. If you want to send me a private email, I can try to get any mother on the list in time, but the entry ended at 6 p.m. tonight.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I just wondered what we were doing.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for CD10 Jeff Camp? Because he'll put his moderator hat back on as soon as this session is over, this part's over. So I see no other hands raised. So therefore, moving along, are there any reports from any other city departments, agencies, or government officials? And I guess, Octaviano, that would include you. I don't know if you're here just to attend or if you're here to give a report.
I'd like to give a report if that's okay.
Perfect. You're on the agenda-ish.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I was going to move with the flow here, so appreciate it. Well, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is doing a fantastic time tonight, despite the circumstances with this virus. My name is Octaviano Rios. I'm with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. First of all, I wanted to thank Chair Laura Myers and Jeff Camp from the Councilman's Office for their leadership and support in bringing tonight's virtual Neighborhood Council meeting into fruition. It came with some challenges, but as always, we can always count on Jeff and Laura to challenge the procedures and the process in place to make them even better for everybody to be included in participating in our Neighborhood Council system. I also want to thank the board and the stakeholders for their patience, grace, and collaboration. Without everybody else's coming together and holding hands through this process, it can make it difficult. So thank you for having a sense of humor, and I was here for the happy hour, so I enjoyed listening in. Well, besides watching the barefoot, right, from the board members, I enjoyed some of the jokes and the exchanges. So thank you for that. So I do have a few announcements. First and foremost, I know that if you weren't aware, the department did work with City Clerk's office to increase the emergency authority funding available for each neighborhood council from $1,000 to $5,000 to give the chair discretion during this time on how to spend those funds to help in the COVID-19 related impacts and efforts in the community. So both Jeff and Laura have been working with the department and of course with other community partners to ensure those funds got spent responsibly, and to also make sure that those funds got spent effectively to address those needs in the neighborhood within the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. So thank you, Madam Chair, for your leadership and being very responsive in spending those funds.
Well, you're welcome.
With regards to the city clerk funding deadlines, I know this is something that kind of got pushed aside, but you know, every year there's fiscal deadlines because of the fiscal years, and we're approaching that. So wanted to highlight for the sake of the board, and also to remind the treasurer to assist the board with meeting some of these deadlines that the city clerk's office has. So May 20th is the last day to submit event requests for events through July 15th. We're still taking into consideration the stay-at-home order and social distancing protocols until they are lifted. So that's May 20th for event requests. And June 1st is the last day to submit check payment requests, including MPG applications. And then June 20th is the last day to make purchases with the Neighborhood Council bank card. Let's see, and just a simple reminder, you know, we don't provide a legislative report to neighborhood councils every week anymore, but the last one was pretty fruitful. There's a lot of proposed legislation and city council action that we listed in the legislative report. If you didn't get it, let me know. We have been having some challenges with some board members not getting some of our correspondence. But a lot of, if not most of the legislation activity with the city council relates to COVID-19 impacts on Angelenos. So now that you're up and running, great opportunity to just review those proposals, those actions, and consider a community impact statement filing for those. Your NC profiles came out. You know, we tried to send out the NC profiles as close to the first of the month as possible, but it's been proven difficult to the last few months. So the last one came out on the 5th, so this week. So check it out. Lots of information, as you would imagine. A lot of it has to do with the virtual governance of neighborhood councils and protocols, etc. So check those out. I do want to highlight that the department has a Empowerly virtual governance webpage for board members and stakeholders to check out, empowerly.org/EVG. And everything that relates to this infrastructure that we've developed with the help of our board members and staff has landed in that web page, in that within our web site for the department. So you can find anything from webinars to trainings that will occur and have occurred, to sample agendas tailored to virtual meetings, as well as the protocols and the response the department had to ensure overall compliance with the mayor's and the city council's orders with staying safe at home. So check that out. Very fruitful information, empowerly.org/EVG. A survey did go out to board members regarding their transition to a virtual meeting environment. We did want to hear as a department what board members had to say about their needs, concerns, etc. So the purpose was to poll neighborhood councils on their views and needs related to neighborhood council system move toward a digital form of governance, or virtual, if you will. The survey was emailed to everybody, as long as we had your accurate email. And just to give you a quick sense, we didn't get 100% response, but we did get a few folks, and we reflected that in percentages. So 90% of the board members will access the virtual meetings using a computer or laptop. That was the response that we got. 30% feel confident about their board's transition to virtual meetings. Approximately 70% reported no financial hardship to do so. 67% expressed a general degree of comfort with Robert's Rules of Order. And then there's other percentages that are also listed, the result of that survey in your NC profile. So I don't want to take up more time, but just wanted to give you a sense of some of those responses. And I think last but not least, the department is working with the city clerk's office still to prepare for the 2021 neighborhood council elections. So keep an eye out for any kind of tools and templates. We are working with vendors. We're still working to finalize those plans to partner up with vendors and community organizations to help us spread the word about neighborhood councils. Of course, your help in doing so within your neighborhood council boundaries in your neighborhoods is also an important element to making sure that people are aware of the neighborhood council system, that they are aware of the opportunity to run for a candidate, and they are aware of an opportunity to also be a voter during these elections next year. So nothing's changed as of now in terms of gearing up for the 2021 elections. And that's it. That concludes my report. Thank you so much, folks.
Okay. Octaviano, I have at least one question for you. City Council yesterday apparently voted that in addition to the $10,000 rollover of funds, that neighborhood councils could also roll over what they called already encumbered funds. But do we know what the word encumbered is? Meaning is it we voted for it and it's encumbered, or is it that the clerk and or Dunn have already approved the expense?
I'm not sure, but let me get back to you. I don't want to misspeak on that.
Right.
I know there's a lot of details with regards to funding and the rollovers. Some folks haven't spent, some neighborhood councils haven't spent their emergency funds. So is that going to be taken into consideration with the rollover? So I'll get back to you and get you a better
Okay.
answer, and I'll work
Right,
with City Clerk's office.
I appreciate that, because I think, again, it's sort of like, that they approve, that in other words, if the boards got together, various boards at various NCs. I mean, UNNC is being very good about spending our money, so this may not impact us anyway. But that they sort of added that little clause that you could vote to encumber. Also, I have a question in the private chat room. Who decides the vendors on the election? And I'm happy to call on the person if they want to raise their hand, or is this, you can either raise your hand or let me just keep asking the question. I'm looking at, no, what? No, Jeff. I have a question from a particular person, but I'll just keep asking it because she hasn't raised her hand. Octaviano, who decides the vendors for the election stuff?
So just to clarify, so the department is tasked with coming up with developing an outreach campaign, or a promotional campaign, if you will, to kind of fill in the gap to promote neighborhood councils in general, citywide, and the opportunity to run and vote, and to be aware in general. And the city clerk's office is charged with administering the elections. So two separate roles. We're not going to be at the polls administering elections, and they're not going to be necessarily doing this robust campaign to promote neighborhood councils, even though they do when they go out there promoting the city clerk's office. They'll include talking points about neighborhood councils and elections coming up. So the department's working to identify some citywide vendors that have an expertise in promoting in developing campaigns and promoting whether it's events or causes citywide. And we're also trying to identify community partners, so specifically whether it's in South LA or in the Valley, that have an expertise in reaching those hard to reach neighborhoods or under participating community members or neighborhoods. So just a quick, that's probably the longer answer, but in short, the department's the one that's going to be working with those vendors. Some are not going to be paid, others will be paid, but we haven't finalized all of that just yet. There are some nonprofits that have come forward to volunteer their services, because that's just what they do. They have these group of folks that are interested in engaging and increasing civic engagement in particular parts of the city, and they just want to help spread the word.
Okay. Dorit, did you still have a question? Wait a minute.
If we're still in some kind of shutdown, will the neighborhood council elections still happen?
Good question. I know there was talks about vote by mail, which has been the trend nationwide with doing that. But I don't have a final answer. That's something that we're still working with the city clerk's office. Last time we met with them, they were still moving forward as if we were going to go back to normal. So I guess we haven't gotten to a point yet in this timeline that has pressured them to make a decision just yet. So we'll keep you posted as to how that's going to change in terms of the format of voting or participating, or if we're going to push that out altogether, the elections.
So when is our election supposed to, when is this region's election supposed to be? Is it like June 2021? We
haven't finalized that yet. We're trying. Last time we made a decision on when regions were going to go. In previous years, the same regions kept going first, so they were kind of the quote unquote guinea pigs, where all the mishaps happened. So we try to move that around. So I'm not sure if we're going to stick with the same order, or if we're going to change that up. So we'll let you know.
Okay, any other questions? All right, Any other government official, department, or agency present to do a quick report? And now I mean quick because we're past our deadline. Okay. Michael, we've got Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, and I'm trying to find you to unmute you. We've got two items from
I'm
you.
unmuted.
Okay, hi, how are you? Can you
Good,
introduce
how are you?
yourself? And these are items 5A and then 5B, and I had given you 30 full minutes for the third
I'll do it in
item as
less
well,
time.
but please, God, don't do that.
I won't
Go
do that
much
to you
more
guys.
quickly. And
Yeah.
also, let me just ask, are you able to, are you screen sharing or do I need to do your screen sharing?
I can screen share.
Okay, so introduce yourself, and we're talking first about the ADAPT program, item 5A. And for the board members, a lot of you have gone off video. We will need to do a quorum check shortly before we do any sort of motions.
Great.
This may end up being presentation only.
Oh, okay. I hope it's not.
I hope it's not too, but I don't know where the board, you know, the beauty of real meetings is you can see them.
Would you like to do that now before I begin?
Probably a good idea. Dorit, are you able to do another, is this hard for you, a roll call?
I'm gonna power through this.
Okay, I'm unmuting everybody again. So no, I'm not. Yes, I am. I'm trying to unmute everybody.
Let me know when everyone's unmuted so I could call the roll, okay?
Yes, calling the roll. They're all unmuted now, or most of them are unmuted now.
Asai?
Yes.
Beautiful. I'm here. Gavin and John were not here. Lizzie, are you here?
I'm here.
John's here.
Wait, John, you're here? I'm sorry. Okay.
No,
I don't know
John's
why I had
here.
to do that as
Dorit,
accent.
please just call the roll.
Okay,
Oh, my
sorry.
God.
Gavin, Lizzie, Tori?
Yes.
Beautiful. Greg?
Here.
Jorge? Jorge going twice? Okay. Sorry. Laura?
Here.
Hugo?
Here.
Beautiful. Paula?
Here.
Thank you. Raheem?
Raheem may have might be putting the kids to bed.
Okay. Then I'll put him as no, but we got a lot of other people. Isaac? Going twice? No. Muriel?
Here,
Sorry, who is iPad Rosa?
That's me. I don't know why I'm on the meeting, but I'm part of the neighborhood.
Yes, but you're not Isaac. That's all I was wondering. You came up just as she was calling Isaac's name. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hugh? Hugh going once, going twice. Okay. Cordell?
Here.
Thank you. Michael? Michael twice? No. Chris? Chris again? Kyle?
Yep. Here.
Beautiful. Thank you. Nancy?
Here.
Beautiful. Jenny?
Here.
Beautiful. And sorry, I gotta scroll down to see all the screen. I'm gonna pronounce this wrong and I'm sorry. Naheem?
Najee.
Najee is not here.
Najee? Thank you. So whoever told me how to pronounce that right, forgive me. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 people.
Okay, perfect. Well, so Michael, you're back on. Sorry, we have quorum.
I'm on the Mid-City West Neighborhood Council. We have our first Zoom meeting next week. So this is interesting to see, and I applaud all of you for making the effort like this. I know it's not easy. So in addition to being on the Mid-City West Community Council, I'm the founder of Streets for All. It's an organization, new organization in Los Angeles, dedicated to making the streets safe for all modes of transportation. And so I'm gonna just jump right in to the presentation, and I promise I won't take the full half an hour. I'll try to go through this in about 5 minutes.
Goodbye.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Janie, let the kids in.
I'm muting. I'm muting.
I think everybody is unmuted. I think that might be the, okay.
Wait,
Okay, I got muted too.
Okay, I'm muting all.
I'm good.
I'm sorry, I'm muting all again, and then Michael, unmute yourself.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yep. All right, and I hope you guys like my backyard. It's still sunny up here in the Hollywood Hills in the 1920s. All right, hold on one second. Okay, can you see a full screen ADAPT program?
Yes.
Okay, great. And let me, okay. So a lot of you may know this stuff. If you don't, just in case, in 2016, our city passed what they call the 2035 mobility plan. The main goal of the mobility plan was to build things like bus lanes and bike lanes to give Angelenos freedom of choice when it came to how they get around town, as opposed to really a car being the only safe and reliable option. So that passed in 2016. For those of you that are curious, you can Google it. This is the cover of it, and what it looks like. As you can see, it's for all modes of transportation, including cars. And this is what it looks like specifically. So everything you see in orange here are dedicated bus lanes through your neighborhood council district. That includes Venice Boulevard. Again, this is not all built. This is just what's been proposed. Everything you see in green are protected bike lanes throughout the city. So that means there's bollards or parked cars that would protect the cyclist, make people feel safe. And then everything else you see in blue are just normal bike lanes, just painted bike lanes. As you can see, in case anybody either takes the bus regularly or bikes around the city regularly, this is significantly more comprehensive than what we currently have today. And for every little thing that you see in red right here, those are...
Michael, I'm going to interrupt a second. What you should do is say, please, next page, for the people following along on the phone. They may have downloaded this.
Oh, I apologize. Okay,
right.
I'll do my best with that. So I am now looking at the map, and I'm on the scheduled resurfacings tab. So everything that you see in red are parts of streets that are scheduled to be repaved by the Bureau of Street Services. And I will explain that significance in a moment. Okay. So next slide. So to save money, the way the city normally does things is anytime a street is repaved is the opportunity to reconfigure the street if they want to. So opportunity to add a bus lane or a bike lane or make a non-protected bike lane, a protected bike lane, stuff like that. That normally happens when Los Angeles paves the streets. In order to save money, it's cheaper that way. If the street's freshly paved, it's easy to stripe it differently. Next slide. We have two city agencies that do this work. The Bureau of Street Services, or newly rebranded Streets LA, is the city agency that paves streets. And then Los Angeles Department of Transportation is the one that stripes the streets. So they decide how to use the space once it's already paved. Next slide. So what ADAPT is, and the government loves acronyms, so this stands for Adjusted Deployment to Accelerate Paving in High Traffic Corridors, or ADAPT. And what ADAPT is it's an effort during the reduced traffic during COVID-19 to reprioritize major street repaving. Normally, the city is doing more neighborhood minor streets, which don't normally have bus or bike lanes. But now, since traffic is so low, they're taking advantage of it, which is smart, and repaving major streets. And you can Google ADAPT Streets LA and see the schedule online as well as on the map. Next slide. So again, the concept is great to take advantage of low traffic during COVID-19 in order to repave major streets that would otherwise be more complicated or more disruptive to pave during normal traffic times. The problem is that there's been no commitment from the city to implement the mobility plan. So there's been no commitment to implement either the bus or bike lanes, either during this ADAPT program or even after the emergency ends in just general street resurfacing. Next slide. So again, paving streets is relatively straightforward. Everybody would like smoother streets. They can move very, very quickly to repave these streets. LADOT is responsible for the outreach to communities, building political will, getting buy-in, answering questions from communities, and that simply takes longer, and especially right now is harder during COVID-19 compared to just repaving the street. So one can move very quickly and one can't move quite as quickly. Next slide. That's pretty much exactly what I just said. One can be done quickly and one takes time, especially during a pandemic. Next slide. So the issue is because the community outreach process can't move quite as quickly as the repaving process, the risk is that the city repaves the street and just leaves the street markings, they put them back down the same way they are today. The challenge with that is today most of our streets are built for cars. And if we're gonna meet our Green New Deal goals or many other things, just freedom of choice with transportation, we are literally locking in a city that's just built for cars for the next 25 years, which is about the average amount of time that asphalt takes to wear down to then justify repaving again. Next slide. So we would miss our Green New Deal commitments. The air would remain bad and possibly get worse. As more people move to the city, gridlock could increase. And our mayor right now is the chair of the C40. 40 cities around the world that have committed to the Green New Deal. He also issued an Executive Directive 25 in February asking LADOT to accelerate the Green New Deal. So this would go against all of that. Next slide. Maybe you're thinking, can't we just go back after the fact, after it's nice new asphalt and change it later on? The city actually has a moratorium. So once they repave a street, they cannot change it for at least 2 years. And even after the 2 years, it can cost up to $1 million per mile to go back and scrape everything up, do any slurry seal, et cetera, that needs to be done, and then restripe. We're about to enter an era of incredible austerity, and finding that extra money is going to be close to impossible. So this is really now or never. Next slide. So the mayor has made a number of citywide emergency changes under COVID-19. For example, he instructed LADOT to establish emergency loading zones in front of restaurants to quickly provide that for takeout orders. And he also disabled pedestrian push buttons in a lot of the city, so we don't have people touching and sharing pedestrian push buttons during COVID-19, which is a smart move. My point is the mayor has already made citywide changes under COVID-19, and this could be another one. Next slide. So what my organization is asking the city to do is commit to implementing the mobility plan while they're repaving, during ADAPT and after, or wait on the repaving until they can do so if the political process and community outreach is just taking too long. Next slide. So we're now looking at scheduled resurfacings again, as you saw before. Any point in the map that you see red means overlap with another color. It means that the street is about to be repaved, and there should be, according to the mobility plan, either a bike lane or a bus lane on that stretch of the street. Next slide. This is a photo taken last week in Beijing. The tweet was, happy to report that Beijing is open for business again. The cars are back and so is the air. As you can see, the air is not very nice. And one of the things they're seeing is a huge spike in car sales. People that used to take buses and other public transportation are now nervous to do that post-COVID-19. And can you imagine in Los Angeles, if let's say 20% of the people that normally ride buses and trains, because they're nervous about COVID-19 and they can afford a car, buy a car. Can you imagine Los Angeles with 20% more traffic, more cars? I certainly can't. And I fear that that could be where we're headed unless we give people safe alternatives. Next slide. So we believe strongly we need safe and reliable alternatives to the car. Bike lanes that actually make people feel safe and not like they're going to die biking in the city. And bus lanes that allow buses to be an efficient option, avoid crowding. So they have their own dedicated lane, they can go faster and provide more frequent service. Or I fear we're right behind Beijing. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And the motion that's on your agenda is simply to ask the city to implement. And I'll show you one more thing as it pertains to your neighborhood council district. So the one street that's coming up very, very soon is Venice Boulevard. between Normandy and Western. This has a protected bike lane on it according to the mobility plan. And this is going to be repaid very soon. And this is the main focus within your neighborhood council district that I would encourage you to take a close look at and
Right.
encourage the council office. Thank you.
Okay. Before we start discussion, Janie Williams had already moved. That's how it got on the agenda. I've just posted it to the group chat. That's the motion, but I don't have a second. Somebody can raise their hand to let us know if there is a
John
second.
raised his hand.
Okay. We're gonna unmute John. Where'd he go? Okay, I lost him.
He's there.
No, I know, but this thing moves around. So, John, are you unmuted? Not yet.
I am now.
Good. Are you making a second or making a comment?
I'm making a second.
Thank you. Okay. Seconded. So this is how I'm using chat. If you guys see. And then part of the motion was to adopt the NS Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance resolution regarding that. So that is now what I'm going to try and find and share the screen with. Maybe I am. Yes, I am. I think I've got the, okay. So this is the full resolution. It's in the agenda packet, but it's basically one, you know how we do it, whereas, and now therefore. So essentially, if we adopt the motion, we'd be adopting this resolution along with a couple of sentences. And I do not know how to make this smaller. So Jeff Camp, I can no longer see hand raised or anything. So you're at the moment in charge of calling on whoever is raising their hand for discussion.
Dan Cagle, I'm unmuting you now.
Okay, Dan?
Yes. Sorry, I had multiple dialogues popping up, interfering with me unmuting myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It occurs to me that if DOT is wanting to do outreach, then they might hesitate to stripe bike lanes unless you tell them, no, really, these particular streets that you're going to do, please just do the bike lanes. So I suggest you name the specific streets in the motion.
So you're suggesting that we go ahead and add what the rest of the agenda item was, because I did name the specific streets in the agenda item.
I am
so in other words, within UNNC's boundaries, the most immediate issue is Venice Boulevard, which is continuing the work they're already doing, but moving on west between Arlington and Norton. So that's like next month. So you would like that added into?
Yeah, basically anything they're going to do in the next 2 months, you should say, yes, please do.
Okay. So guys, do you want to look at this resolution, or can I get it off our shared screen? I don't even know how to get the answer to that. Why don't I just scroll a little bit longer down this and then let me get rid of it, because I cannot see any raised hands or anything. So I guess what I want to know, Janie.
Laura, hit escape.
Huh?
Hit escape.
Apparently I can't do that when I'm the screen sharer. So unfortunately I cannot. So I can either stop the share, or Jeff, you can call on, there we go. Stops the share. So Janie, are you okay with that amendment? Janie, can you unmute yourself? Where's Janie? Janie? Are you here, Janie?
There, sorry. Can you repeat the amendment, please?
I'm going to type it so everyone can see, because that's what I think I like about it. The amendment would be to reference Venice BLV Boulevard between Arlington, I'm trying to spell this right, Arlington and Norton, work to be in June. So that's the amendment, more or less.
Michael, what do you feel about that amendment? Is that okay in your, or is that missing something that
I don't know if I'd phrase it exactly that way, but I would definitely agree with the sentiment of making it specific to Venice Boulevard between Arlington and Norton.
then, yes, an agreement.
I accept the amendment to my second.
Okay, so the motion is amended. I will figure this out. Jeff, can you start calling on people while I figure out how to do an amendment?
I'd be happy to. The first person is Greg.
My question is related to any potential delays. So
You have to speak up.
My question is related to any potential delays. And Michael, is your team ready to discuss the justification that a group might have for any delays, or the economic impact, or dealing with? They might want to delay it, the repainting, but may still want to repave it due to the number of potholes in that area. So is your group ready to discuss that issue? And specifically, I don't think that's a major concern on Venice Boulevard right now.
So our point of view is, yes, a lot of our streets are in poor condition and we would want better pavement. Who wouldn't? But given the stakes that once this is done, it's not likely to be redone for a couple decades.
Right.
We as a group have done that calculus and have said that this is worth delaying if necessary. Not guarantee it's necessary, but if necessary, it's worth, for example, a 3 or 4 month delay to allow time for the community outreach process to happen, compared to it not happening for a couple decades.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Next would be Marielle.
She's on mute.
Bike lanes are on Venice between Normandy and Western now. They're not. There are no bike lanes on Western between Venice, because that's my neighborhood and my family, we bike on that pretty often.
Okay.
There's no bike lane. So I don't know. It's kind of depressing to know that there were supposed to be bike lanes, but no, there's not, because it was recently repaved within the past year, and there's no bike lanes. Just an FYI. So you better get on it because the bike lanes actually they're not repaved, but they start at Arlington. So between Norton and Arlington, there's not, but there are none on this side of Western, on the eastern side of Western.
That's all the raised hands I have for now, Laura.
Okay, so I am going to make a comment, and then I'm trying to do 3 things at once. But in this case, the community outreach was already done for bike lanes and the redo of Venice Boulevard. We had a presentation at UNNC probably 2 years ago, and the other community outreach was done. So they seriously ought to implement the program that the outreach was already done for. And Michael, I'm just not sure if it's a different entity planning to do this paving, or is this again, expansion of the project that's been from downtown to somewhere already? You know, I know they've added crosswalks and stoplights and other stuff near to my house, which is west of Marielle and east of Arlington.
There could be other Vision Zero improvements going on at the same time, which could have resulted in more crosswalks. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. And then let me just ask you, Michael, because you had said, wait, I'm getting a lot of little private feedback. For example, you know, I'm getting the feedback we should say within UNNC, for example, Venice Boulevard. So this request would include put it in the bike lanes in that section, right? Is that what you're asking?
If you want to be specific, I would add the word protected, because that's what the mobility plan calls for.
Okay. I do want to be specific. So I'm about to post this again into chat, and we must move on. We're running out of time, but can everybody see now the revised motion? It's the rest of it is within UNNC's boundaries. For example, Venice Boulevard between Arlington and Norton is scheduled to commence in June 2020. So this request would include putting in the protected bike lanes in that section. So Janie and John, is that what you think you moved? While you're thinking about that, I'm walking over for a second to our my printer to grab the BACs because I'm going to have to do a BAC on this. So I'm not really gone. I'm just 20 feet away. I'm coming right back.
I'm good with that.
I am back, but are we good on this motion, guys?
We need approval from Janie.
Okay, Janie, unmute yourself. Janie?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm here, guys. I'm feeding a baby, so
no, that's okay. We don't need to watch.
Right,
but,
exactly.
Are you okay with the amended?
Yes.
Cool. Is there any other comment, or can I go ahead and take the vote?
Laura, do you want me to do the roll call for the vote, or do you need to do it?
No, I have to do this is a BAC. I have to do it. Sorry. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Asai.
Everyone needs to unmute themselves.
Oh, I'm sorry. Unmute. I'm unmuting all. Asai. Where's Asai? Okay, has Asai left the room, left the meeting? Because we have a problem if he did.
Oh my
No,
God.
Asai is here. Asai, what's your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Myself, I'm a yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Thank you. Has Raheem returned? Okay. Raheem is absent, is that correct? Okay. Mario?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is that right? 13, 14? That can't be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 yeses, no nos, and a bunch of absences I'm not counting at the moment. Is that okay with all?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
moving on. Michael, the problem is we're really running out of time.
I'll do the next one quickly.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. This one is very specific to COVID-19. Okay. Can everybody see people with some cones on Venice Boulevard?
Yes.
Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Long story short, LA's average sidewalk is 4.5 feet wide, which is not wide enough to pass and maintain social distancing during COVID-19. Next slide. We believe people need more room to walk, run, bike in the streets, as well as transit-dependent essential workers could use a safer outdoor option perhaps than the bus. And if you don't have a park near you, we think people should have more space to stretch their legs, move around, etc. This is being done all over the country, and these are 4 cities in California. They're called slow streets. It's not a hard street closure. It is a soft closure, meaning there's some cones or some signs that block off part of the street, but cars and emergency vehicles and trash trucks can still pass. So it just calms traffic, it does not prevent it. Oakland did 74 miles, Redwood City, you can see in the top right, similar thing. San Francisco just announced this, and San Diego just started it. So we are surrounded by this. Next slide. Also all over the world, you can see Berlin, Paris, Milan, and Bogota all doing the same idea of essentially extending the sidewalk into the street. Next slide. Like I said, 150 cities around the world have done this already. Next slide. So what we are proposing is on major streets, cone off a probably not currently needed parking lane and make that space for people. And next slide, on residential streets, put up cones and signs that encourage local traffic to proceed. Again, this is in Pasadena that got implemented last weekend. Again, this does not block anyone from getting to their home or emergency vehicles. It just slows traffic down. And by the way, our average traffic speeds are up over 30% compared to normal non-rush hour speeds because our streets are wide open. Next slide. Mike Bonin, council member for CD11, issued a press release 2 weeks ago after the Delray Neighborhood Council passed our draft motion, asking the city to make streets more family friendly during COVID-19 social distancing. Next slide. And Delray Neighborhood Council, this has been a long drama that was off again and on again, but it looks like it is back on. And within the next week, you should see LA's first slow streets in Delray. Next slide. What we're asking is that you would pass a motion of support, pick the streets that the community feels would work best, and then ask the city to implement. That's it.
Okay. I'm apparently moderating at the moment.
Can I say something?
Yes, absolutely.
Michael, do you have the sample, the map that we created with the sample streets that you could
Yes.
show everyone?
Would you like me to share that on the screen?
That would be great. So we already kind of had an idea of what streets might work. We picked some main thoroughfare streets and as well as a bunch of neighborhood streets. And these are not hard picked. They're up for discussion. If people in those areas feel that one or another would work better, very open to amending this, but this is what we have going right now. So just want to give you an idea.
Can you see my screen? Okay, I'm getting thumbs up. So the green are smaller residential streets. And so that would be the treatment of the slow street with a cone and a sign, something like that. And then the purple are the more major streets for your neighborhood council district. And those would potentially be, for example, coning off the parking. And these are the streets that your community or the people that participate on your neighborhood council thought might make sense. Totally flexible. You know your community the best.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna start calling on people. John, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I think this is great. And I totally agree with 30th Street down at Crenshaw. I bike that every day to work. It's a delightful street except for cars blowing through red lights. It's direct, it's awesome. 4th Avenue is also a good street because it crosses the freeway and it has a great pedestrian bridge you can get on with a bike. But I think this is great and I fully support it.
Okay. Dorit?
How about also make a Harvard between the freeway and Washington slow streets? I mean, especially all of the streets here between the freeway and Washington. Not a whole lot of traffic can get down here anyway. It's kind of already slow. Let's make it official. Super duper love this plan. I don't think anyone's moved this motion yet or seconded, right?
No, we haven't done a motion yet because I'm not quite sure where to go with it.
Okay, well, I love this idea. I really, really want it to happen. Yay, thank you.
Okay, so the agenda kind of has a motion.
I did supply a motion there
Yes.
with this. Oh, and that was my baby. Hold on.
Oh no!
You dropped a baby?
You dropped the whole baby?
He's okay. Yeah, there is a motion there with the streets unnamed that you see on the map. But we can amend the motion with any street changes we want to make. I'll mute myself now.
Okay, I'm copying the original motion and putting it into our chat. And you know, this takes just a little bit of time. And Jeff, you're back. So are you watching hands while I'm doing that? So this was the motion from the agenda packet. It doesn't mention specific streets. It's that basically, given that many sidewalks within UNNC are not wide enough to support 6-foot social distancing, and Angelenos, including those who live within UNNC's boundaries, need access to the outdoors to maintain their physical and mental health during this difficult time. Our motion is UNNC supports enhancing mobility and open space access in Los Angeles during COVID-19 and specifically supports a pilot program of temporary emergency safe streets network throughout our jurisdiction, redistributing street space to widen sidewalks and create temporary protected bike lanes using cones or other temporary infrastructure on certain identified streets. That's a very long motion already.
Greg has a question followed by Lizzie.
Thank you, Greg.
First, the comment is that this is beautiful and it's essential, so I really like it.
You have, I can hardly, I'm
me?
sorry, I'm leaning in, which is really ugly on Zoom because I can't hear you.
Okay, so I love this. It's essential. It's what we need in our community. Are there any costs related to implementation of this?
Yes, it does cost the city money to put temporary barriers and then take them away. But it is a cost that the city is able to do compared to any permanent infrastructure changes. It's pennies on the dollar. So this is not a very expensive thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jeff, you had called somebody else. I've already forgotten.
That would be Lizzie.
Hi, Lizzie. Lizzie, you need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I raised my hand by mistake, but I do support the project.
Okay. What I would suggest is rather than us trying to vote on particular streets, that we just add to the motion, set up a temporary subcommittee of the board, no more than 1/2 of quorum of the board to work to decide on the streets, because we could go to midnight if we're going to discuss all the streets tonight. What say you guys? Would that be okay? That we appoint a temporary subcommittee of Dorit, Janie, I'm talking out loud, John Arnold, Lizzie, and Greg. Would that be okay?
No, I was raising my hand because it seems like a group has already done a lot of study on this.
Correct.
And so if the committee does meet, it should be pretty quick because it looks like all the work, or the majority of the work has already been done.
Yes.
Right. Well, it's just I'm seeing some notation about adding a couple of streets, or adopt the map, but add the one in particular is Harvard between Washington and the freeway. Were there any others? Okay. Hugo is saying that he wants to be on the committee, and Greg, I think, was saying he doesn't. My point is only that we can't have more than 5 people, and B, or 6, and B, I'm trying to move this fast tonight, and move it fast, period.
John would like to make a point.
Yes.
I'd love to be on the committee because I ride my bike everywhere, but I don't need to be. So I'd only advocate for more north-south. I recommend 4th, Gramercy, and probably Edge Hill going up the street, going up the hill to connect up into 20, whatever that is, 25th that goes across. So that'd be my only comment, and I'd love to be on the committee in this room.
Well, my comment as a person who lives on Gramercy, I'd love it. However, Gramercy is the only way over the freeway.
Janie has a comment.
I'm just wondering if we create this committee to figure out the streets exactly, does that mean we are not voting on it tonight?
No. What I want to do is be done with it tonight. And I want the committee to be done because you're going to yak with each other over the next 3 or 4 days by Monday.
Got it.
Laura,
That's what I'd want.
if it's helpful, the way CD11 did it is exactly that. Delray Neighborhood Council had a few people from the Neighborhood Council working with the council member's office to identify streets.
Okay, so the motion's not made yet, but adding to the motion, establish a temporary subcommittee as discussed to identify any other streets, work to be completed by Monday, May 11. So that's supplemental to, in other words, I can give me the ability to, or give us the ability to establish that committee. The point is only that it cannot be more than 6 members of the board, the end. And you'd have to do your, so not to violate the Brown Act. And I'm circling back here. Actually, I'm hitting return. Circling back, it'd be Janie, not John, right? John's just supporting it, not Greg, but Hugo wants to be on it. Dorit, you wanted to be on it? I've lost Dorit.
I would love to be on it, but if somebody else wants to be on it more, it's all theirs.
Okay, well, these are the only 3 board members I got right now.
I'll be on. I want to be on it, but only if there's one.
John's back in. I got 4.
I want to be on it, only if there's room.
We don't need to have more than 4. It's just we max out at 6.
Okay, I want to be on it.
Okay, I've got it. John Arnold, Janie, Hugo, and Dorit. Okay, so this is the motion. If you look at it, now we have 3 different entries, or maybe it looks like all one. So who's the motion maker? Who's the motion seconder? And can we vote?
I'm the motion maker.
Okay. And who's second? And John seconds. John seconds. Okay, so this is item 5B, agenda item 5B, and I am, unless you see, Jeff, unless you tell me you're seeing any hands, I'm gonna call the BAC roll. Okay, so Asai.
Unmute people.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm unmuting all. Thank you. Asai is a yes. Dorit.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Oh, Lizzie, I'm sorry. Did you want to be on that committee?
No, thank you.
Okay. Tori.
Yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Me. Laura. Yes. Hugo. Hugo.
Yes.
Thank you. Paula.
Yes.
Okay. Has Raheem returned? No. Okay, Mario,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Janie.
Yes.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yeses, no nos, and I will calculate again the absences later. Okay. Next item, the Safe Sidewalks LA Sidewalk Repair Program.
Laura, I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Sorry, bye. Essentially, this is just an information item, not really an action item. The comment period has been extended. I know Dan Cagle has been working on comments. Dan, do you need to say anything about this, or are we good to just move on?
Does the neighborhood council want to weigh in on this?
We voted back in February to create a subcommittee of you, Chris, Kyle, and somebody else. Oh, Elizabeth, to just do so. You need to share the comments that you wish to make with me so I can share it with executive board. We can approve via email because we already approved this.
Oh, good.
You were there.
So
you just forgot.
Well, I've been really out of it.
Okay.
So yes, we can move on tonight, and I'll catch up with everybody via email.
Okay, thank you. Next item is 6A, Planning and Zoning Committee. That would be me. I have a short update, and then the thing that's on the agenda. There doesn't need to be an action. My very short update from Planning Matters is that the Planning Department has resumed some commission meetings, and they're very proud of themselves. I will tell you, I've been attending, and it's not that fun. They had a 7-hour City Planning Commission hearing meeting on April 23rd, and everyone in the public was on the phone. I was only on the phone for 5.5 hours. It was not fun. I was on the phone 4 hours today with Cultural Heritage. I'll just say it's like you have the phone on your ear. And then, but having said that, they're happy. And HBOZs throughout the city, including our area, will be resuming their meetings via Zoom next week. Harvard Heights and Western Heights is scheduled for Wednesday, May 13th. However, you can only participate on the phone unless you're a board member. So the other thing is, and I did not open it up, so I'm not going to share the screen. The agenda item is simply about the mayor's emergency orders to toll or suspend the time in both the municipal code and the administrative code. So what that means is, because there haven't been meetings, neighborhood councils haven't been meeting, the zoning administrator hasn't held hearings, everything is slowed down. The mayor did issue an order that suspends the time limits that are in the municipal code. The only issue is that the planning department is still sort of picking and choosing and deciding which ones can be suspended and which ones not so much. And that was not the intent of the order. Some of you know that I and Jeff and CD10 worked hard on this, as did several other council offices. So it's very disappointing, and I don't want to take any more time, but it's been disappointing that we've had items that have been killed because they ran out of time, even though time was supposed to be suspended. But moving on, unless anybody had their hand raised, I hope not. I can't see. Jeff, any hand raises? No. Okay, executive committee business. And I'm going to run through this very quickly and turn the first item quickly over to Greg. So item 7A, budget reallocation. Due to the COVID-19 crisis, our fiscal year budget categories need some reallocations, essentially to increase, to do the emergency spending. We just spent $5,000 that was not in the original budget, but is in the same allotment of money. We also have some unexpected administrative costs possibly due to the new Zoom meeting platform. And what we for sure have is more money spent recreating the website to deal with our, COVID-19. So the action item is to authorize Greg, our treasurer, to reallocate the budget, but I'd like to turn this over to Greg.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So let's see the first document that we want to share with everyone here. Let's see if this, can everyone see this? Can you see that and can you hear me? Yes?
Yeah, Greg, we can see it, but
yes.
I'm just saying, run through it quickly, please, because.
Oh, yes. Well, okay, so basically the thing is that, again, we spent $5,000 because of emergency funds, and we understand that. We have some operational funds, and you can see the short version of it is that these are the operational funds that we have budgeted that we still need to keep in place. We can come down to, let's look at this figure here. We have a balance of 21,000, roughly 21,000 remaining in our budget. Things that we had plans to do in the year will not be done, such as the fire station, the Walk on Washington, and the CD10 movie event. So these funds are available for us to use now if we need to. The short version of that is captured here. This is our balance for the balance of the year. We have $3,260 in operational funds that we still need to keep in place. We have emergency funds that were donated. So we have a balance of $14,305.71 that we have to use. We need to increase funding to our webpage manager, and those items will come up a little later on. Any questions?
So Greg, have you identified, in other words, it's hard, I think, for all of us to follow an Excel spreadsheet, even as nicely as you have done it. But you've identified places we can move from and places we can move to, right?
Yes, that is correct.
That's correct. I know that I saw Thomas walk into the virtual door, I think. Octaviano's still here, but I thought I saw Tom Sung for a while too. Anyway, Octaviano, since I know you're here, can we do a general motion like this, authorize Greg to move money around, or do we have to vote specifically before we have the discussions that follow about specific amounts of money?
And this may help to see this. What we do initially with our budget is we plan for the year, and that's seen in the footnotes. And again, I don't want to go into this too much.
Greg, yeah. I had asked Octaviano a question.
Sorry,
I don't
Laura,
know if he's still here.
Yeah, you were cutting off a little. If you don't mind.
I'm gonna try this again. I put budget reallocations twice on the agenda. First to authorize them, then the next several items are specific funding items that we may say yes to or we may say no to. And then later on under Treasurer's report, we have the budget reallocations a second time. So my question is, on this first item, can we simply vote to authorize our treasurer to do the reallocations, and then when we get back to it under Treasurer's report, do it more specifically after we vote the funding items, or do we have to go through this right now?
You can do it in the first order that you shared. So changing the allocation and then voting on the specific item.
Okay, so, well, in other words, we can't change the total allocations until we vote on the specific items. I apparently did this in the wrong order, is my point. So Greg has been spending the whole week looking for places we can move money around. Do we need to right this second vote on that, or should we just authorize the reallocation and move on to the actual funding items and then come back?
My understanding is you have to from one category. Misunderstanding your.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting background noise from somebody. All right. Back to Octaviano.
Have you already? Do you have the in the budget category, if you will, for your budget? Do you have the enough money to then vote for the expenditure or no?
No.
Okay.
In simple terms, no. We have to reallocate.
Okay, so you reallocate first, correct?
Well, if we tentatively, I mean, we're now wasting more time. Tentatively reallocate and then have to reallocate later if we don't vote yes on some of this. If we vote no, that's my dumb problem here. Okay, well let's just reallocate. Greg keeps raising his hands. Greg, what is your recommendation, Greg, to reallocate some money?
Well, I think it would help everyone if we go through the
okay, we can't, Greg, we can't go through the entire budget. It's a 8:45.
Can I finish my statement, please?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think it would help if we would go through the MERS report so we would see the balance of funds that we have. And then once we see the balance of funds that we have, then everyone will have that in their mind. And then based upon seeing that and improving those MERS.
Okay, I'm being interruptive again, Greg. We need to get to the bottom line.
I was trying to.
Yeah, well, no, you're talking about what we could do. What are you recommending?
My recommendations is that we show everyone our current budget status by giving them the.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. In the budget status, exactly what are you recommending so we can move on, please?
My statement stands.
Well, then share it and show it. I'm sorry, it's 8:45.
Laura?
Yes.
As a stakeholder, may I suggest that not necessarily me, because I can't make a motion, somebody makes a motion that outside of operational expenses, any remaining funding that we or UNNC may have left go towards outreach.
Well, that would not work for what we have on our agenda tonight. That's the problem. So the appropriate motion would be, if we're going to vote for an NPG, we need to transfer money to NPG, and everything else would go to outreach and web, whatever. Yes, Greg.
Okay. I think people need to understand the balance of the accounts, and we show that to them by giving them the MERS report for March and April. That way they can see what has been expended and what the balance is, and then we could look at what needs to remain for operational funds. And then we can look at what we need to do to increase which other items that you have. So I guess I'm proposing a moving these items to the Treasury report so we can show them the budget.
Okay.
That, because it's like we're talking about one thing first and we're coming into it. So I would like to.
So at the moment, then, I'm looking for a motion to table this agenda item, and we'll handle it under Treasurer's report.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is that the motion?
If we table this, can we still vote on some of these items that we've got?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes,
because I
under
have the
treasury
agenda
report.
item twice.
Under treasury report, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I move this.
We need to.
Okay, I'm not gonna do a BAC, but I think I have to unfortunately do a roll call because that's where we are again. So I'm unmuting all. Gonna do this very quickly. This is a motion to table, and I'm forgetting, unless I'm doing it totally wrong with the Brown Act and we don't need to vote, I'm gonna vote. Asai?
Yes.
Okay. Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Tori?
Why don't you
Tori?
just use the sticky ones?
I am using sticky ones.
Okay, guys,
Yeah.
I did unmute everybody, but I didn't mean to have background noise. Tori?
Yes.
Tori? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, is that a yes, Tori?
Yes.
Okay, Greg?
Yes.
Me, yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Is Raheem back yet?
I don't know if Laura heard that or not.
Okay. Marielle?
Laura?
Yes.
Tori, I can't. I'm moving on. Marielle?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Janie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We are moving on to funding. This next item, 7B, funding request. It's actually to ratify the money that I spent, not I, all of us, but I was given the authority to come up with the programs and then get approved by everybody. So we spent $5,000. We spent initially $1,000 donation to World Harvest. This was back in March, and it went to providing vouchers to families who did not have the money to purchase food at World Harvest. So we probably all know this, but World Harvest is at Arlington and Venice. They are both a market and a food bank. If you're just going to buy groceries, you walk in and you give them $40, and there is a grocery cart with 200 pounds of food, and you can then purchase other food if you want to. In the past, before COVID, if you did not have money, you could volunteer for 4 hours helping them. Because of the virus, that option went out the window at the same, because you might have the virus, you can't volunteer. And at the same time, more people needed more help. So we donated, and several other neighborhood councils did as well, to provide vouchers to families who just didn't have the money to buy that grocery cart of food. More recently, we were given, I'm going to say given, $4,000 more, but it was our own money, but we were authorized to go ahead and spend the money without having a board meeting. So how that money was allocated was as follows. More with World Harvest. So this time to $1,200 and then a second donation of $1,800, both for the same type of cause, purchasing what I'm calling, Jeff is not amused, but PPP boxes, which is boxes of produce, pantry items, bread, milk, eggs, and protein. And the CD10's been buying such boxes to donate to senior housing, affordable senior housing, because the seniors, can't go out. But I realize that we have other affordable housing complexes in our community. Jefferson Square, for example, at 4th and Jefferson, and Jefferson Terrace, which is the Mercy Housing Project at Western and 30th. And there's also several others. So we made a donation of $1,200 to purchase 40 of these boxes of food for Jefferson Square, and then a second donation of $1,800 to purchase 60 more boxes. And at the moment, we're designating the Mercy Housing project. Again, it's called, well, I call it Fatburger Arms, and John might laugh because they also restored the Fatburger that was on the site originally, but then left it locked up. But anyway, it's called Jefferson Terrace. The last $1,000 was triggered. Some of us have been conversing for a while about maybe we should try and do donations of pet food to, again, pet parents, humans who have no money or less money, but that we just couldn't make that work out. And then I started seeing a lot of chatter on Nextdoor and elsewhere where people just don't have the money for veterinary bills either. So in other words, their animals are sick, but they don't know where to go because they don't have any money to spend on the vet. And we are lucky here in UNNC. The former 11th Avenue shelter is now home to a group of nonprofits who service, who are in the business of servicing various animal needs, I guess best way to say it. One of them is SNAP LA, SNPLA, and they have a full service, low and no cost veterinary facility, veterinary care facility at our location at 11th and 36th. So we donated $1,000, hoping that's seeding other donations towards low cost and ideally no cost veterinary care for our stakeholders who can use it at our own veterinary low cost service. So that's a total of $5,000. And I don't know if I need to say much more about this, but we do need a motion to approve retroactively, to ratify the spending and approve it retroactively. And I guess I make that, Octaviano, you have to tell me, do I make that motion? Because or how do we do this? Now unmute.
Oh, here I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can make that motion.
Am I allowed to make that motion, or does somebody else need to?
You can make that motion. That's fine. And it's simply to ratify and not to approve. To ratify.
Okay. So motion to ratify emergency spending under under something. Or Octaviano, you need to help me. Is it the emergency spending under the
emergency authority funding?
Thank you. Authority funding. Do I need to specify what they were in the motion, or can I just make that as a simple motion?
Make it as a simple motion, and if you want to add COVID-19 as well. Can you
Okay.
Yeah.
Related to COVID-19. Okay, that's the motion. I need a second. From anybody.
Laura,
Okay, I think Nancy Cruz has her hand up.
And also before that, Hugo had a comment.
Okay, nobody gets to comment until we have a second. Now, Dorita said she seconded. So Hugo and Nancy and Jeff, you can tell me what order.
Hugo first, followed by Nancy.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you said that the money was already spent on those things?
Correct. It's all gone.
Okay, and how much was it for each?
It was, the initial World Harvest was $1,000 in March. The more recently approved money was a total of 3,000 more, so 1,200 and 1,800. And then the last last amount was $1,000.
Okay. All right.
Oops. Oh, wait. And Octaviano is telling me I need to add that into the motion. So let me,
Yeah, sorry, folks, I misunderstood what your chair meant by simple motion. So
Right. The following expenditures. It's okay. Dollars 1,000 to. Sorry about this. And you want to call on Nancy while I'm doing this? Jeff?
Second the motion.
Okay. I got it. So I'm typing away as fast as I can. Okay. So these were the expenditures. I should say 100 boxes of food, produce, pantry, and protein. All right. Octaviano, is that good?
great. That looks great. Thank you.
Okay. And so Dorit, is that okay with you since you seconded? And Nancy thirded.
Nancy seconded. She'll let Nancy have the second.
Okay, Nancy, you have the second. Is this motion okay with you?
Yes, it looks good.
Okay. Are there any other comments? I see no hands raised.
You're good to go.
Okay, this is another BAC, and it's agenda item
7B.
7B. Asai.
Yes.
Thank you. Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Thank you. Gray?
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
I don't, Jeff, you'll just tell me if Raheem ever comes back, right? Marielle?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Janie? Janie? Is Janie still here?
Who?
Did we lose Janie? Because if we lost Janie, no, Janie's still here. Where is she? Okay, well, I'm going to put Janie as an abstain or not voting. Let's see. How do we do this, you guys? We see her here, but she's not responding. Is that an abstain or is that a absent or what is it? Somebody?
If we were in person, if they walked out of the room, we count them as absent for that vote.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 13, yes, I'm gonna mark Janie absent at least for this vote. Okay, along with Raheem, who may or may not ever show back up. Okay, funding request 7C is a request to increase for up to $1,200 additional funds. for Ann Zumwinkle, who's our website consultant, to pay for the extra work incurred due to COVID-19 crisis, to be paid at the currently hourly contract price for any hours that exceed the current fiscal year contract cap. So what does that mean? We did a not knowing a year ago when we did our budget, and we didn't have Ann yet, we didn't have a pandemic, we voted a contract cap of $2,700, an hourly rate of $75 an hour, and an estimate from Ann's contract of 3 to 4 hours a month. She's already, just in March and April, exceeded that number by 10 or 12 hours, and rightly so. I mean, she had to redo, a lot of stuff on the website. We anticipate May will also be quite busy. I mean, we're setting up things like these agenda packet folders, etc. So I'd like to essentially increase the contract amount, not the hourly rate, but the amount total we have budgeted in the annual contract from $2,700 to $3,900, which is a $1,200 increase. And then Ann would still have to bill for actual hours. So that, again, would be the motion. But I think we can have a discussion before we do a motion in this case. I don't know if anyone has hands raised or we're just getting tired.
No hands raised.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just copy and paste the motion from the agenda to the chat so we all see it again. And I will say these meetings take long and I need a second. The motion's made by me. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
Okay. Second. Okay. Motion, Laura. Second, Greg. Okay. Any discussion? Jeff, do you see any hands?
Nope, I would call the vote.
Okay, call for the vote. This is a BAC again. It's agenda item 7C. Asai?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Laura, yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Marielle?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Janie?
I was absent while you were explaining because of the baby. I'm sorry. So.
Oh, you were abstaining.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yes, 1 abstention. And again, as I'm doing for all of these, I'll catch up on the absences later before we finalize the BAC. Okay. Item 7D, I would like to table. Is that okay with everybody? No objection?
What do you mean by table it?
Meaning not vote on it, not deal with it. We don't have the money. We don't think we have the money at the moment. So, so essentially, I'll just explain. We're not very clear how much money we do or don't actually have. There's some confusion. We do know that we cannot request any more checks after June 1, but we can use the credit card. So this is tabled and sent to executive committee because funding requests are really supposed to be in general, we handle funding requests at executive committee, and we'll come up once we'll know better what our funds are, and we'll bring it back to the June meeting for if there are any other emergency funding items that people might suggest, so long as they can be paid for by credit card, which is pretty much what these other ones had to be paid for with anyway. So, but we're no longer clear that we have this extra money. Thought we did, now we don't think so. Hugo, I know you have a project you want to do, but I don't think we can just off the cuff do this tonight. We'll have to do it at exec.
Oh no, it's fine. Just one thing I was gonna mention was I noticed there's a lot of homeless people who don't have masks, and so I was wondering when I can suggest that. I'm kind of confused on when I can suggest some funding to get them.
Yeah, at this point it would need to be at executive committee. We'll do we can, I can talk to you offline, but we can do a funding request, fill it out, figure out where we're buying them from, and that's a credit card item, so we can handle that efficiently and approve it on June 4.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so tabling that item, we're moving on to, and we've had a very patient, I think he's still here, person who's asked us for money. Yes, Seymour is still here. So item 7E, we do have a new request. It came in just this week for a NPG, which is a neighborhood purpose grant, a request for $3,500 for the COVID-19 Heroes program. And Seymour, I'm so sorry that we're so late in this game, but I'd like you to go ahead. I'm going to find your funding request and put it on the screen while you're talking, if that's okay with you.
It's okay. Actually, I'd like to share the screen that I've got.
That's fine too.
Okay, so let me see if I can figure this out.
So you go to the bottom where it says share screen.
Yeah, I want to make sure. This is the first, I've been doing a lot of this. First time that I'm trying to do a share screen.
Okay. And what are you sharing your funding request or something else?
I'm sharing kind of the project. I think that would probably be better. Have I shared the screen? No, not yet, but I think I might now.
Oh, and maybe, there you go.
Okay. Okay, so just a background of who we are.
Well, tell them who you are first and then who we are.
That's fair enough. All right, my name is Seymour Amster. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Parents, Educators, Teachers, and Students in Action. We are the official community-based organization of the Los Angeles Superior Court Teen Court Program. We have a teen court site at Los Angeles High School and Dorsey High School. This project is twofold, aimed at the high school sites and the middle school sites. I'll start with the high school sites. So every year we bring high school students to the Museum of Tolerance for 1 week to go through a SHADES program called Stop Hate and Delinquency by Educating Students. They basically learn about hate incidents. It's extremely well done. We just a couple weeks ago decided to do it virtually. So we will be having Dorsey students and LA high school students there virtually. And we've been able to reach those students. We are doing the job with that. The second part of the program that we're doing is we feel that the next wave of the problems are going to be, and there's here too, is the racism that has occurred from this and educating the youth. So on educating the youth, what I've got up there right now is we've come up with our COVID Hero Series. And what this basically does is it's a presentation that kind of just explains, social distancing, why you have to be careful, what the coronavirus is, how not to spread it, actually how many countries, 18, don't have them, explains if everybody gets sick, the different types, and then it talks about how they can avoid getting sick. And one of the reasons why we're hitting this early is the third paragraph you'll see there. Listen to your teachers when you go back to school. School is going to be a whole new experience for these young students. I think we're going to have 30 in a classroom down to 15 in a classroom. I don't know what nutrition or lunch is going to be right. And that's why we presented this to LACO, Los Angeles County Office of Education. They presented it to all the middle school principals, and they support this, and they're behind us on it. And then we want to bring the students in that they can be part of the solution, and we tell them what they can do to help. And then we give them the opportunity to be a COVID-19 hero, telling them what they can do. And then we ask them to write us a letter of what, how they've been a COVID-19 hero, to send it to us, to get a certificate and a gift. But we're also then going to figure out what school they're at, and we're going to see if we can talk the school into having an assembly for them. Some of the schools that we've been able to reach to are already in agreement with it. Then our other program that we're doing is dealing with the racism aspect of this. We call this our County of Heroes. Now, for the past 3 years, we have been putting these presentations on in the classrooms. It's been more directed towards we are all different but the same, and has not been specific, obviously, to a pandemic. This one is directed towards a pandemic. We're at, it's an art project where they to read, discuss, create, and submit. And so like the first one, and it's different kids, like we talk about Stacy here, who's from Korea, who is getting texts that aren't nice, and that she wants to be a virologist. And then we go on to other different epidemics. We got Sean, who talks about the Ebola. Alexandra talks about the swine flu, and it goes on and on and on. And at the end, there is a discussion, questions, how do they feel about this? Have they ever seen somebody go through a situation like this? And the whole idea is a discussion. Then we ask them to do an artwork, and then we ask them to submit it to us as well. So the whole idea here, we feel, whoops, I don't know what I just did. Okay.
Okay, I am seeing somebody playing with the meeting controls. Hopefully that is Jeff.
Yeah,
is
hopefully.
That Jeff? Okay.
All right, so I'm trying to okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know what I need to do.
Okay, okay, guys, who is playing with our meeting controls? Because that would not be good. All right.
All right, I'm back. Okay, I've stopped the share.
All right.
Okay.
So sharing is off.
That's what I wanted to do. It was time to stop the share.
Okay.
So the idea is that we will do this in presentation. We will first do it in print. We are sharing it with the schools on the PowerPoint, and then we'll do it in print. And then when schools start coming back up on August 18th, we will go back into the schools, or we'll do it by Zoom on presentations. We are going to want, as we've done in the past, have the Dorsey High and LA High School students work with us to going to the middle schools, because we like doing that. And we also have a strong presence on USC called the JEP program, but we get USC students who volunteer. And actually this particular project was created by many, but 2 USC students took the lead on it.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. I'm going to share the screen now with the actual NPG.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you. So you can keep talking.
Well, I actually got to the point of where I think I've covered everything I want to talk about and answer questions.
Okay. Jeff, while I'm looking for the NPG, which I had a moment ago, but now have lost, can you see if anybody has questions?
At the moment, no one has raised their hands. Nancy has.
Okay, call on her.
Go ahead,
please.
Nancy.
Nancy's got to unmute.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering if you've identified which schools in the UNNC area you would work with.
We're going to hit all of them. The idea is to hit all of them.
So when you say all, you and I had talked in email about, so Nancy, we don't have high schools in our footprint. We have high schools that our stakeholder kids go to. So that's LA High and Dorsey High. And they are in those schools. And then we have Johnny Cochran and some charter schools. So
the charter schools will be easy. I hate saying that because we also do ed code violations and truancy, and the charter schools are reaching out to us. But we want to hit the middle school. Middle school, unfortunately, is the battleground on a lot of these things. And so we want to go into the middle schools. That's where we're going on it. And it's kind of easy for us. Okay. Once August 1st comes around, it's going to be easy for us to get into the middle schools. But we're going to try to get into the community before August 1st. And the reason why I say August 1st is easy, because the principals of all the schools, they're going to be back on the school sites a couple of weeks before school starts August 18th. And then because of our rapport with the principals at the high schools, we can get them to pick up the phone, and we've done this before, call the middle schools, let them know who you are. But as of right now, we've got LACO doing that. So we want a head start to start working this before school comes back.
okay, Jeff, can you do me a favor? Because we've done this before. Can you hit escape so my screen gets littler here?
I can't make it more little, but I can get rid of it. But
No, I don't want to get rid of it because this is what we have to vote on.
Okay, Cordell,
So
Cordell has our
I'm
next.
I'm just shrinking the PDF. That's fine.
Cordell has our next question.
Well, it's more of a comment and a suggestion. In looking at your slide deck, because you're serving a diverse community and going to present this in front of diverse students, it was interesting that the first half of your slide deck didn't have any diversity until you got to the negative impacts. A suggestion would be to have some of the imagery being more diverse in the positive first half of the slide deck.
Okay, so I wanted to show you something. This is still in process with the group, and I appreciate that. And I think that's a valid point. So I'll definitely take it back to the working group on it, because I don't want something like that.
Okay, Jeff, again, I'm in the position now that I can't see raised hand, but I do want to just make a comment that the reason we're dealing with this tonight, and you guys can vote yes or no, our normal UNNC process, we check the bylaws, it's not mandatory, it's just a tradition, is that funding requests, and in particular funding requests that are like an MPG, would first go to executive committee and then come to the board. However, this would be a check, and the last day to request checks, the check request is June 1, and we do not meet again until June 4. So the reason we're doing this tonight is because they'd like to start the program. That doesn't mandate us to vote yes tonight, because hopefully the program continues, but I just want to make that point. They are asking for, moving the slide, if you all can see, 2 different pieces of it, and they're asking for $1,500 and also $2,000 for a total of $3,500. I'm not really sure what the difference is between the project and the project material, and that I'd love to hear that from Seymour.
Sure. Okay. So the project is the presentations of it. I probably should have thrown a little bit in there on what we're doing with Dorsey and LA High with the Shades program, because we are going to have an expenditure there. But the $1,500 goes to 12 presentations, because we're figuring 15 per class. That's what our anticipation is. And then the project material is the printed piece.
Okay.
And the PowerPoint studio.
And are you assuming you're going into these classrooms and not doing this by Zoom?
We can do it either way. We're going to have to see. that's gonna be a LAUSD position, but we've got it set up that we can do it by Zoom. We would prefer to be in, but it can go either way.
Okay, so my screen share just died, which is fine.
I think Jenny had her hand up.
Yeah, I can't, Jeff is calling the hands.
Janie has raised her hand.
Okay, Janie.
So you were saying that there were 2 USC students who had spearheaded this and created, they did the most of the work in creating the slide deck or the presentation.
Yes.
What is their background or their point of expertise?
Okay, so I'll go into the whole team. So first of all, the finished product is reviewed by our licensed clinical social our licensed clinical social worker. And then we have a doctor of education that reviews it too. So the actual team working on it, one is a student who within 3 or 4 days will be graduating with a master's of public policy pre-law. The other young lady, I think, is just a a sophomore that's working on it. Then also to that committee is a teacher from a middle school. They're the ones who are doing the nuts and bolts on it. And then it goes from there into basically our counseling committee, which is where we have the Doctor of Education, the licensed clinical social worker, to make the final review and the corrections. Yeah, you're still on mute, Jenny.
Well, Seymour's calling on people. What happened to Jeff?
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, are you calling on people? Or now do I have to call on people?
Jamie, please go ahead.
I was just, I didn't see the full slide deck to review. You went kind of quickly over it. I would like to be able to read it. Did I miss a place where we look at it in full?
Janie, we won't have time to go back through the slide deck. It's already 9:23.
Yeah. Okay.
And the slide deck, we're not voting on the slide deck. We're voting on a NPG funding.
Laura, we have 2 other comments and or questions. First up is Tori, followed by Nancy.
Okay, go Tori.
Oh. Okay, I just had a quick question. Perhaps I missed it. That amount covers how many schools within UNNC? It includes charter, all the middle schools, and what else?
So it includes your residents who go to LA High and Dorsey, but also it includes all of the middle schools as far as we can. We are not just looking at your monies to spread us out. We're kind of looking at the neighborhood councils to get us going fast, and we're spreading out faster. We just feel the racism, unfortunately, is going to be a problem. It's already a problem, and we want to deal with it. And we utilize students who are close to age, so our presenters are close to age to the students, and our data has shown that we get incredible results for it. And they somehow, at least one presenter, if not both, has gone through the Museum of Tolerance program that we have, that I talked about, the shades. So they're very well adapted to doing this. The project itself is created to cause the discussion we normally do when we're in the classroom, but we also felt that we needed to modify something to deal with the social distancing aspect where we can't. On the other hand, we are still doing Zooms and things like that, and we'll be trying to do this on Zoom too, to reach out to the neighborhoods. I'm just not so sure how successful that's going to be, and that's why I haven't included that in there. But we're doing a lot of Zoom stuff.
Laura.
I see a couple of other hands.
Yep, Laura, we should move on to Nancy and then follow up and finish with Dorit.
Correct. Okay, Nancy.
Yes, so I understand you've worked with the students in LA High and Dorsey, but how diverse are the presenters going to be?
Very diverse. So we very diverse. We try to have at least have the presenters reflect the student community. So what I'm not, okay, I'm going, so you have students who go through the teen court program as jurors. When they graduate, they become part of our Teen Court Alumni Association. So we have at least 30 college students who've gone through the program, as diverse as they can be, who we then pay to be our presenters.
Okay, and then, oh no, you can't answer your phone, Seymour.
I'm not going to answer the phone.
And
so if it's my mother, I'm going to tell her that's why I didn't answer.
Yeah. Dorit?
Okay, I'm kind of uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable that you weren't able to answer Tori's question about how many middle schools you'll be in and how many middle schoolers you will outreach to. I like the idea of this project, but I don't feel it's completely sussed out for us to be funding with that much funding at this moment.
I identified 4 middle schools that you have, but I'm not sure if you might not have more.
Okay. I'm just saying I'm not that comfortable yet. I don't feel it's as presented as I think it should be. Your project.
Okay. Seymour, what are, you and I had talked about, I know of Johnny Cochran. What are the other 3?
I just identified them on the map. I did not have the specifics. And the reason why I don't know is because we're trying to hit every single middle school in the county of Los Angeles, as funny as that sounds. And that's what LACO is working with us on. So I don't have them absolutely divided. I look at the maps, I don't have them divided by the city council districts.
Okay, so I guess my next question, and then we do have to call the question, not that we have a motion yet. Here, I'm entering, that would be the motion, but there's no mover and no seconder. You're trying to get this program off the ground real quick, or this expansion of the program off the ground real quick. So again, we are stuck with this, these deadlines on funding. So we can't, between June 1 and July 15, it sounds like we cannot make a payment request, and an MPG is a check payment, and Octaviano could probably jump in. We know that the city council voted something about encumbering money, but we don't know the definition of encumbering money. So I'm not sure, it seems like the first time we could issue a check, if it's not before June 1, would be July 15, meaning request the check by July 15. How long do you think this program is going? That's my question. And my question is both for you, Seymour, about the program timing, and for Octaviano about, am I understanding it correctly? And I see Greg has his hand up.
And after that, we should probably move it forward.
Yes, but I need to know the answer. We all need to know the answer to the question, Jeff. Greg?
So the answer to your question is, this is going to be an ongoing program. The idea is what we normally use NPGs for is to get us going in a particular situation. This is the first time we're reaching out to the middle schools in your area. We've been in the high schools, and it's faster, unfortunately, to get money from the neighborhood councils to get this going than it is from the county board of supervisors or even the city council. City council has in front of them money to fund us again, as they did last year. And if they do, we can use some of that into this as well. But I'm very concerned about the August opening, and we won't see any money from the county or the city, even if they approve it right away, until September or October, because of the way the city works and the county works.
Okay, Greg has his hand up. Greg?
Okay, I like the project. As a former middle school principal, I know that they need these items. However, my concern about the funds that we have is I am concerned about us stretching our funds too far at this point because of the need to possibly fund food needs. And if we fund this, we're not going down to our last penny, but I think that the board needs to be informed more of the balance that we have before we vote on this item. So I like the project. It's a needed project. I'm just concerned about allocation and budgeting our money. And I want us to be fully aware of the funds that we have before we vote on this very good project.
Can I respond on that?
Yes, yes, of course.
I don't think it would be the worst idea if this neighborhood council put on their calendar something around May 29th or May 30th for another meeting, postpone this till then, know what encumbrance means, and know how much money you have before that June 1st date hits you. I've got an idea of what encumbrance means. I'm an attorney, and I think you're going to lose everything that you haven't agreed to spend.
Right.
Come June 1st. And that's going to have to be a tough decision you're going to have to make. And so the way the city council is doing it, if you agree to spend something, but the check is not issued by June 1st, that could be rolled over. But if you haven't authorized it, you're losing it.
Right. Okay. Right. So, guys, here's the thing. We have on the agenda a particular motion. So normally, again, I'm going to say, normally we would have gone to executive committee and maybe the dollar amount would have changed. And the other thing I think Greg is reminding us, I mean, we have a lot of money, a little money, and then we don't know how much money we have. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the thing. We do have, if I'm not mistaken, Greg, $1,600 left in our NPG pot. Is that right? From what I was seeing in all your math, that we actually have 16 in the MPG still, Greg? So my question is this for the board. First of all, does anyone want to make this motion? Does anyone want to second it? If we're thinking about doing this right now at 9:30 at night, is that the right amount of money? Or do we want to do what Mr. Amster has actually just suggested, which is essentially take this to executive committee and, if needed, have a special board meeting before the end of May? You're shaking your head no, Dorit? You don't want to have 2 more meetings?
No, no more. If you're asking me directly, I don't want to have another board meeting at the end of May. I don't.
Well, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place because we don't know what encumber means.
We also could just vote on this. We should call the vote now, and people will vote.
Well, we can't call a vote. I don't have a motioner or a seconder. I mean, I can make the motion, but I don't have a seconder. All right. Is anyone want to raise their hand to say they wanted to second if I make this motion for 3,500? Paula.
I would second.
Okay, so Laura moves, Paula seconds. Now we have a motion and a second. Is there any other comment, or should we just go ahead and vote? We're going ahead and voting. This is a BAC on agenda item 7E, and it is to, whoops, I'm moving back the chat for me to look at, but can you guys all do the same? It's a $3,500 neighborhood purpose grant for COVID-19 Heroes program from the Parents, Educators, and Teachers in Action. I don't know why it's PESA, it doesn't matter. In partnership with the LA Superior Teen Court Shades program. And this would be specific to providing the program to students at local UNNC area schools. Moved by Laura, seconded by Paula. Asai?
No.
Okay. Dorit?
No.
John?
Oi.
Oi?
No.
What's an oi?
Oi is like, I don't know. No.
Did you vote no?
Yes. No. No.
You voted no.
I'm sorry. What's your vote?
No.
No. Thank you. Lizzie?
No.
Tori?
No.
Greg?
No.
Okay. I'm waiting. Hugo?
Just to be clear, this is to have an executive board meeting on it?
No. This would be voting it in right this second.
Okay.
This would be voting yes or no right now.
I'd prefer to do what Seymour suggested about not exactly approving it, but
That's not an
No,
option.
no. All we're doing is voting on this motion. If this motion doesn't pass, I will consider privately with executive committee whether a revised version of this, when we know more information, can move more slowly through our normal system. So right now we're just deciding yes or no tonight to give them a $3,500 MPJ.
okay, in that case, no.
Okay, Paula?
Yes.
Yes. Marielle?
No.
Cordell?
No.
Kyle?
No.
Nancy?
No.
Janie?
No.
I'm thinking this motion failed. I'm sorry. So Seymour, we'll work together to see if there's something more palatable that can be done in a less rushed time frame. Okay?
Yeah, I understand. Thank you all for your patience and what you're doing. I'm going to leave the meeting at this time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 12 no's and actually 2 because I'm voting yes, yeses. I don't think we do anything with that BAC because it's not going anywhere. Next item, Tori, this would be 7F on the blankets, but did you identify a nonprofit?
Yes.
What is it?
I can use either the Coalition of 100 Black Women or the yo-yo who ordered the blankets before.
Okay. I think I'll be honest with you. Since this can be done with a credit card, this purchase, I would prefer to do this our normal route from executive committee and then back to the board on June 4, because we don't have a physical funding request at the moment.
Oh, okay. So,
is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So item F, 7F, will move to executive committee.
Yeah. I have a few left.
Okay. All right. And then this one's a little different. Oh my gosh. Item 7G, executive and governing board policies, duties, and procedures. Sounds like a big deal, but essentially, you notice that we had an agenda packet created digitally online. So it turns out this is maybe the most difficult thing we had to do for having a virtual meeting. And the reason is there's people who call in and they cannot see what we see visually. So it should be that everything that's going to be presented, including minutes and financial reports, et cetera, needs to be pre-posted to that folder. We, UNNC, have had a long time policy and procedure, but it's not been voted in, to never, ever, ever, ever post our draft minutes online, that we only post the final, but we can't vote on the minutes at a virtual meeting unless we've posted the draft. So this would just be to change our procedures. It's not in our standing rules, it's not in our bylaws, it's just traditional procedure to allow the posting of draft minutes before our virtual meetings. Anybody? Asai has his hand up. Asai, you can unmute yourself, and then Dorit after that.
All right. As a former secretary and just seeing the tendency of inquiries as again, as former secretary, posting draft minutes. I could see the pros and cons of it. The pros being it helps the secretary see all the potential mistakes that they may have made. But two, people may interpret it, even if we put it in as draft, and it has, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. People are going to interpret it as the actual finalized minutes when it's not. And any form of confusion like that, I'm not usually in favor of. I'm usually in favor of us basically having the minutes and in the meeting voting on approving the minutes and then posting the finalized minutes. And it's usually always worked well that way. Having two different types of minutes now that Dorit would have to have the draft and then eventually the finalized minutes now puts more work on her, which I would not also suggest, but that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, Dorit?
I move this. I'd like to move this motion.
Okay, is there a second? Anybody can raise their hand and show me a second? Or, never mind, Laura's seconding. Moving on. Okay. I do want to explain, Asai, I think that's exactly why we've never posted this stuff in advance. But if we don't post it, we can't vote on it. So just like tonight, we're tabling the minutes because we can't distribute stuff to the board by email. And we could post the minutes virtually, share screen, but then people on the phone can't see them. So, and again, land use presentation, I mean, it's everything. It's not just the minutes. So, so on a practical basis, as long as we have virtual meetings, if we can't post them, we can't approve them. So that's okay if we want to wait 6 months and then prove everything at one time. Jeff, I can't see all the hand raised, if any.
We're good. Greg just raised his hand.
The only thing I would add is that if for draft meetings, we could just put a big, bright watermark on it, draft, above it, across it. We can have it spinning in 3D so people can know that it's a draft minutes.
Audio that also says this is a draft. Again, this is a draft.
Right, it would have to say draft on every page. I mean, there's a way to do that in headers and footers. It does make the secretary's job a little more difficult, but as Dorit's saying, because you're shaking your head, no, doing 6 months at one meeting would be kind of hard too. So it'd be better to get it out the door.
And frankly, I want to know if I did it right, because you're not going to remember 6 months from now what you might have said. I really like the idea of everyone reading the minutes before the meeting so they can, with a clear mind, not at the meeting, think about, was this what I meant? Was this what I said?
Right.
It makes a whole lot more sense to me to do it this way.
Right, and we will help with the watermark and all that good stuff. So
That's good, because I can't do crap with technology.
not a problem, not a problem.
All right. Are there any other comments, or can we take a vote?
Call the vote.
Calling the vote. And this is, I'm doing a BAC just in an excess of caution. So 7G allowing us to post draft minutes. Right now, I put it on the website and/or the Google Drive. This time we did a Google Drive agenda packet. It may be that we figure out the technology to easily do web packets on our website. Right now we can't, not easily. Okay, Asai.
No.
Okay, Dorit?
Yes.
John? What happened? John?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, Lizzie?
Unmute us.
Lizzie?
Lizzie, you're muted.
Unmute.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Unmute us.
Here we go. Everybody's unmuted.
There we go.
Okay, Lizzie?
Yes.
Okay, Tori?
Yes, with the draft pen.
Greg?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Marielle?
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Janie.
Yes.
Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yes, 1 no. And as I've been doing, I'll catch up on the absences. Please, God, tell me under 8 that there are no committee updates.
This is God. There's no committee updates.
Thank you, God. Laura, you're muted.
And going once, going twice. No committee updates. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now,
Especially
Greg,
God.
treasurer's report.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will do my very best to be efficient with you concerning the documents. I have 3 documents that I want to share with you. The monthly expenditure report for March, the monthly expenditure report for April, and then the budget spreadsheet. So as you can see, can you, everyone hear me okay? As you can, yes, no, no? Hello? All right, so as you can see on your screen, hello, can you guys hear me?
Well, now we
hear
see
any-
you and not the screen.
Yeah, I said, can anyone hear me? And I didn't hear anything, so I came back to it to make sure. Okay, I'm going back. So this is the monthly expenditure report for March. At that time, we had a remaining balance of $22,266.60. And the main issue that we had with this report was that for our neighborhood purpose grants, we had a deficit of $3,380. We addressed that by moving money into this account to cover that. It was done on March the 5th, but it didn't reflect, so that reflects in the April MERS. But this is, so under office, outreach, and election, this was our adopted budget. Under community improvement grants, this is our adopted budget. And a neighborhood purpose grant started off originally at $6,000, but then it has increased and then it increased again, as you will see in April. Okay, this is the amount that we spent for that month, and this is the balance for that time frame. And this is outstanding bills that haven't been paid yet, okay? So let me come down. These are the things that we spent money on. This is a donation, one of the donations that Laura talked about. This is a post office for a post office box. This was a Friends of Jefferson that we wrote them a check months ago. They finally cashed that. And this was for our delicious food some time back. And this is the funds for Ann, her $225. And so that was it. So are there any questions about the budget MERS report for the month of March?
Okay.
So I'm gonna stop sharing and come back.
Okay,
you.
so Greg, before we
Yes.
move on, we need a motion to approve the March MER report.
Right. I wonder if my question was any questions before we.
Well, questions would be good. I'm guessing at
questions?
this hour, no one's going to ask a question.
I didn't think
Move that
so.
we approve it.
I am seeing no raised hands.
Okay. So the motion, and I'm not posting this motion. Motion is to approve March 2020 MER report, monthly expenditure report. And I'm calling the BAC. Asai?
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Did we unmute everybody? Good. Sorry. Tori. Tori around? Okay, I'm moving to Greg.
Yes.
Laura, yes. Hugo,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Janie.
Yes.
Did Tori get back on the line? I mean, I know she's there, but Tori? Okay, I'm just putting Tori as absent at the moment. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yes, and no nays, no abstains, etc. Okay, Greg, you're back up. Oh, Greg's muted.
Greg is unmuted now, sharing screen. We're going to April. Okay, so the big thing that I need us to focus on is our remaining balance, which is here, $21,568. And the monies that we have spent for this month was mostly in the office operations for this month. And as you can see, the neighborhood purpose grant has increased by $5,000 from last month. So that was our balance there. Again, that was not what we originally had planned, but we did an earlier adjustment, I think in December, and then we did another adjustment in March, okay? The funds that were spent under the COVID emergency funds, that is not reflected on this sheet, other than the $1,000 from last month, but you will see it on the spreadsheet that we will show. We paid for site hosting. These bills came due, annual due for GoDaddy, and then for Ann's services. And so with that, that is our budget, and just keep this balance in mind as we look at the spreadsheet next. So are there any questions about the April MERS?
Asai has a question.
Yes.
It was more of a inquiry to Laura. Laura, if Tori is not here, do we have enough of a quorum to make sure that the vote
Well, I
is
think Tori is here. I don't know what happened because her phone's still connected.
Well, I understand that she's connected, but does she vote or not?
She did not vote, and if she had, well, she seemingly is here. Tori's here.
Hello.
Hi, Tori. She's here. We have quorum. We've got Asai, in answer to your question, we have 14 people.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have a question for Greg? Or I mean, I can see the only money we really spent in April was office-y stuff, right?
Well, that's not really true, because we spent $4,000.
Not in April. That was spent this month.
Oh, in May?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, I mean, obviously, in other words, some of this is retroactive. What we're looking at on Ann Zumwinkle is a invoice that was paid for prior work. So she hasn't billed us yet for April. She'll be billing us after tonight because it will incorporate the extra hours that we just authorized, basically.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing.
You can stop sharing. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I
have a question.
Yes.
Would it be possible to just mark, like if it's a one-time payment, or like a payment that's once a year or once a month with the website stuff?
In the budget, Not on this form, because we don't control this form, but in our budget, we could put a note on the spreadsheet somewhere that it's an annual payment. But maybe that can be seen as we look at the spreadsheet, which will be our next presentation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah, Hugo, this form is generated by the city clerk's office. I think we're gonna be able to do a budget for next year that might have a little more clarity, because Greg is pulling out his hair trying to figure out this, that, and the other. You know, we've all inherited a year ago's budget. You know, it was put together by executive committee last May and June. So we're just trying to figure it out, but we'll try to have a more clarified budget for all of us to have. Okay, so I would like to call the question on this, although I don't think I'm allowed to call the question on this, but are there any other questions? Any hands raised, or can we vote? Voting. All right, this is still agenda item 9A on the BAC, but I'm just marking -2. Approve the April MER report. Asai?
Yes.
Dorit?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Tori?
Yes.
Thank you. Greg?
Yes.
Laura, yes. Hugo?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Marielle?
Yes.
Cordell?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Janie?
Yes.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yeses and all those other absences. Okay. Greg, now we do need to sadly return to that awful thing.
Let's go for it. I'm ready.
Budget adjustments.
Let's go. Okay. So
although it's easier because we didn't do the MPG.
it's much easier. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen again, and I think it's best to start here on the major roll-up sheet, and then I'll go into the actual budget later. So remember from April, we said we had a balance of $21,568.06, correct? Right? Can everyone see all of this from?
No, you'd have to shrink your screen. You'd have to change the view to being something like 50%.
Okay, so let me.
And
how's
then
that?
Slide the baby.
How is that? How about if I do this?
Yeah.
How about if I insert a couple of rows?
Well, I think I'm okay. I don't know about everybody else.
See this? This is good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so from April, we had a balance of $21,568.06. For our normal operations, planning out, we have funds set aside. We have bills that will be due that will be approximately $3,262.35. So we should make sure that money remains in place. We do that, that brings us to a balance of $18,305.71. If I look at the donations that were made in May, not April, but in May, the $4,000 that Laura briefed us on, that takes us down to $14,000. $14,305, okay? And then the money that we just talked about for additional webpage support, that takes us down to $13,105.71. That will be the balance of funds that we will have for next month. If we want to spend any money in the month of June, on the balance of this month, it's coming from here, and we just need to be mindful of that balance. We understand that we may be able to roll over $10,000 into next year. We're not really sure. We think that may be the case. But I know of the president, his concern is about, food needs and shelter needs. So I just want us to be flexible in obligating any funds that we know how much we have. So that's the overview. Any questions of the overview? No, I guess I can't see you. So let me stop sharing. Any questions about that?
Right.
Okay, then
Nancy has her hand up.
Yes,
I
yes,
just had
Nancy.
a question. When does the funding deadline end? Like, by when do we have to spend the money?
Okay, so these are the dates. Can you see these dates?
Oh, yes.
So May 20th, and a couple of you talked about this earlier, but May 20th is the last day for submitting any requests. And then July the 1st is the final date to submit a check. And then June the 20th is the final date to purchase anything with the card. So if we were going to schedule any major things, then May 20th, check, and then credit card.
Right.
We've been pretty efficient in using the credit card in making donations and purchasing other things that we need. So we have about another month left of spending.
Let me just jump in. So that's why Hugo has the idea of maybe we can buy masks. Well, the credit card would be the way we would make a masks purchase anyway.
Right.
For example, this newest wrinkle with the city council saying encumbered funds, and we don't know exactly what that means. So the example I would say from UNNC is back in January, we voted to spend $3,200 for a walk on Washington. In March, not necessarily because of COVID, but it turns out it would have been because of COVID, we deferred walk on Washington till what we voted in March was August or September, preference August. So the question becomes, does that mean we encumbered the funds, or did we just vote for them? And is an encumbrance, and this is what we don't know the answer to, something that the city clerk or Dunn has approved a walk on Washington in August or September or later, and thus those funds move forward with us. But we're realizing, Greg and I talking over and over again, this may not be exactly pertinent because we may be under 10,000 anyway. So we get 10,000 to roll over. So we're not going to worry our pretty little heads about that tonight, but we're going to try and find out before executive committee what exactly does it mean to encumber funds, and what exactly does it mean that we'd have to encumber funds either no later than the 20th of June, or I heard tonight the 30th of June. But I don't think anyone really knows any of that. So it just may not be pertinent to us because we may be under the $10,000 mark anyway for the rollover.
Yes.
So, but Greg, what I really am concerned about is that we be sure that on moving money around, that we have moved enough money to pay the upgraded contract price of $3,900.
Yes.
Or,
yes.
Yeah, and that's, at this moment, that's the only thing I need to concern myself with, because I don't want to get caught up with having Ann billing us for all the extra hours she put in for April,
right,
and then having it rejected because we haven't moved money.
Okay, that is fine. My only concern, without dragging people into the weeds, is that when we say move money, we speak in the general sense of what.
Okay, I'll be very specific if I must, but you just moved the screen away from where I could be specific. So if you could put it back to what we were just looking at.
Let me make the statement, please. Okay. So when we say move money, we generally look at the general category, which is seen here, like the outreach or operation or neighborhood purpose grants. But when I move money, that affects specific line items that we have down here.
Yes, I understand.
So
Greg, it's 10 o'clock. It's after 10
why
o'clock.
do you do that, Laura?
All I'm
Never mind,
saying
never
is,
mind, never mind.
please
Go ahead,
look at
go ahead.
footnote
Go ahead.
4. We need to add more money into footnote 4 to
Yes, I
make
know.
sure
I
we
know,
have
I
enough
know.
money to pay Ann. That's all I'm concerned about.
I
However it's done, but
Right.
I thought we were going to have that done so we could have a motion right now. Where's the money moving from? And I know where it's moving to.
As a co-host, Laura, I can't raise my hand, but may I have a statement?
Absolutely, because you used to be this job.
Thank you. The budget can be readjusted by the board at any given point in time. I think what we're trying to do here is realign unspent dollars that are not operational to cover the things that are happening now.
Well, the
Yes,
only
yeah.
thing that is happening that needs to be realigned, since we did not vote for the MPG, is the money to pay website and e-blast updates, which right now shows as 22,700 and needs to show as 3,900. So
Right.
somewhere we need to move $1,200 to that line.
Yes. Okay. All right. I want to look at you guys. Okay. So yes, just like when we did the money to the neighborhood purpose grants, we moved it from outreach. So I would move money from outreach to that area. And again, I don't think we need to go into whether it's coming from Walk on Washington or anything like that.
No, it's not coming from Walk on Washington, Greg.
That's an example. Okay, I don't mean to pick on that project, but it's just going to come from outreach, unobligated funds, unencumbered funds, I don't want to say earmark fund, but funds that we have not spent, and it will be from outreach.
We need a motion to move money from place A to place B. We know what place B is.
Right.
Where's place A? Where's the money
We're
coming
going to move money from outreach to, we're going to move money from outreach to, the line would be, it would be our webpage maintenance section.
That's where it's going to. Where is it coming from?
Okay. It can come from the fire station funds. It can come from, a portion can come from the CD10 movies in the park. It could come from the outreach engagement events. And again, so it can come from.
How about we make the motion to be moved from now canceled outreach events to website maintenance
That's fine.
up to, in the amount of $1,200. Will that work?
I would agree on that one because movies in the park will most likely not be happening this year.
Right.
So moved.
Right, but is this, can you guys all see that motion? Move funds from now canceled outreach events to website maintenance in the amount of $1,200.
So moved.
So move that,
So
John
second.
moved?
Yes.
Second.
John moved. Who seconds?
I will, Dorit.
Dorit seconds. Okay. Now discussion if anybody really wants to discuss.
Let's vote.
Let's vote.
Let's vote.
Okay, let's vote. Cool.
Please.
Wait a minute.
Please.
This is item 9B. I'm putting move funds. Okay, Asai,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Tori,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes, definitely yes.
Laura, yes. Hugo. Did we lose Hugo? Yeah. Paula.
Yes.
Marielle,
Yes.
Cordell,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Janie.
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Thank God, 13, because we don't know what happened to Hugo. Okay, but we still had quorum. Oy, President's report. I'm going to table that. I'm going to table 10A because it's so late. Appoint representatives to the Los Angeles Neighborhood Council Coalition and to budget advocates. We'll do that in June. Secretary's report is also tabled because we could not post the minutes. I think we get to adjourn unless somebody had anything else.
Do we have any reimbursements? I doubt it, but.
No reimbursement. Nobody should have been spending money.
You had a reimbursement?
Oops. Hugo fell off and he's coming back. Welcome
Yes.
back to Hugo. Hi, Hugo, you're back. Okay, so Janie raised her hand. Lizzie's got her hand up too. So let's go with Lizzie first. Oh, I'm gonna unmute everybody. Lizzie.
I just have a question. I haven't heard Gavin's name called.
Because he's not in attendance. I gave up calling people who I knew weren't here.
Okay, so he's just not.
He never
hasn't
came.
resigned.
Gavin never came. Yeah, I'll just be clear so we have it recorded in the record again. Absent are Gavin Abercrombie, Jorge or George Sanchez, Isaac Diaz, Hugh Moore, excused, Michael Kimbrough, Chris Carlson, and Najee Thornton. I should actually tell everybody, unfortunately, Tracy Hart has resigned, and we have a vacancy that we'll figure out how to fill in a COVID pandemic in Jefferson Park. And then Raheem Dawson was here for part of the time and then had to leave the meeting. So, so Gavin isn't here.
Isaac? What about Isaac?
Isaac's not here.
He's not here either.
No, Isaac's not been here. I mean, in other words, the only person who's excused absent is Hugh Moore, and I will say Michael Kimbrough's half excused. He and his family were just very, very concerned about the Zoom format, and I think he basically opted to let his concern. I mean, he and I have been back and forth on it, so it's kind of excused. I was a little snarky. I told him to buy a what are those called? The kind of phones that you just throw away after a month.
Jenny had a question. Her hand's been up for a while.
I can't see all the hands.
Just really quick for the committee, can you just, how do we get each other's emails? Can you just send an email to the ones who are on the committee that needs to come to a decision before?
Yeah. Well, I've been sort of bad of late, just so you know. And when I'm emailing the whole board, I'm not blind copying you because I'm having some trouble with AOL. So you have each other's emails. Eek. So because when I try to send it blind, it's bouncing back as if I'm a spammer. Well, maybe I am a spammer.
Laura, I'm gonna have to head on out.
I understand.
Yeah.
No, we should adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, but Jenny's right though. We don't have each other. Not all of us have each other's email. So
yes, you do. Look at your email I sent you today.
Not everyone. I don't.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll send it to you.
Thank you, Greg.
Just,
okay.
Just the emails that are in the committee.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, I will do it again. I will do it again.
I got it.
Thank you. By the way, everybody, I know this took an extra amount of time. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for your participation. thank you for Octaviano for staying the whole time. Oh wait a minute, are you playing music for us?
I like that. It's music to send us off by.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, thank you to Jeff and Cam for trying to moderate all of us.
Bye.
Okay. So you know what I don't want to do? Oh, Lizzie's got her hand up again. Lizzie has her hand up, but we can't hear her because the music's too loud.
I'm just staying off to listen to the music now.
I know.
Hey, when are we going to do budget development?
Okay, you know what? We can stay on, but I'm adjourning the meeting, but I'm not shutting down the meeting. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to.
Okay, the meeting is officially adjourned, and wait, I'm going to stop.